unlocking the door with gloves and walking into my house. Then I found a burned photo in my mailbox and my face erased. A message on the back, it should have been me. But they didn't know my dad left one secret clause, the security footage of my own mother. This started with a phone call that came out of nowhere at 6:42 a.m. Dad was dead, heart attack. Without final lecture about how I should be more like my brother. Just silence. I didn't cry, I just sat there thinking, I wonder if David will still find a way to make this about himself. Spoiler. He did. David, my younger brother by 2 years, was always the star of the family. The golden boy, the athlete, the risk taker, the one who dropped out of college to pursue his dreams and failed upward into mom and dad's basement. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one. Straight A student, degree, job, house, family. Still, no matter what I did, I was invisible in that household. Mom made it crystal clear from the beginning, David was her miracle child. I was the practice run. When we were kids, she packed his lunches, ironed his clothes, did his homework for him. Me? I once got grounded for getting a B+. He could do no wrong. He got in a car crash after drinking Boys Will Be Boys. I came home 10 minutes late from tutoring and got a month with no phone. So yeah, when I found out Dad left everything to me in his will, I was stunned. Not 50-50th, not a split. Everything. The house, the savings, the investment accounts. And here's the wild part, Mom didn't get a penny either. The lawyer said your father's instructions were very specific. You are the sole beneficiary. Full discretion. David lost his mind. Like, full tantrum. Cursing, screaming, throwing things in the lawyer's office. My mom started crying, but not because Dad was dead. Because her favorite son didn't get a cent. I left the office that day with $2 million in assets, a binder of estate documents, and a stomach full of confusion. It made no sense. Dad had spent years making me feel like I didn't measure up, but then he turned around and handed me the keys to everything. It felt less like a gift and more like a setup. And then David showed up at my house. You're not really going to keep it all, right? That's what he said. No, hey, no, sorry about Dad. Just straight into entitlement. He had the same smug look he always wore when we were kids, and he snitched on me for eating the last Pop-Tart. I mean, you don't need it. You're doing fine. Look at this house. He walked through my living room like he was inspecting. This could easily be a guest house for family. I asked him what he was getting at. He didn't flinch. I think it'd be fair if you transferred the savings to Mom. And maybe we sell the house and split that. I can move in here with Rachel and the baby until we find something else. Rachel, his girlfriend of 2 years, the one who called me a robot behind my back for working in finance. I told him flatly, no. His face cracked like it physically hurt him to hear that word. He called Mom on speaker, right in front of me. He's being selfish, he whined like we were 10 again, and I wouldn't let him play on my Nintendo. My mom didn't hesitate. Honey, just give him what's fair. You know he's got a family. You don't even have kids. I hung up the phone and told him to leave. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, they've both been playing every card they can think of. Guilt, manipulation, religious obligation, even legacy. My mom texted me yesterday. Your father would have wanted you to take care of your brother. He's struggling. He needs this more than you. I ignored it until this morning when everything exploded because I got an alert on my banking app. $40,000 transferred out. Gone. I froze. Opened the app. Saw the name of the account. It went to David B. I almost blacked out. I don't even remember opening the safe, digging through documents, calling my banker. But I do remember the sound of my own heartbeat when the fraud department asked, did you authorize your brother as a joint account holder? No, I said, trying to keep my voice from cracking. Well, someone did, and it was notarized. That's when the puzzle pieces clicked. My mother used to work at a notary's office. I checked the documents. The signature was mine, or a copy of it, perfectly forged. They'd gotten into the estate binder. They'd filed paperwork giving David full access. They stole from me. I called the police. I filed a report. The officer told me it might be a civil case unless I could prove malicious intent. I told him, you don't know my family. I went home, pulled up the security camera I'd installed out front last year, and there it was, 3 days ago, 2:13 a.m. David and my mom walking up to my porch with gloves. One had a key. You ever feel your stomach fall through the floor and land somewhere in hell? That was me watching the grainy footage of my own mother and brother unlocking my front door at 2:13 in the morning. They didn't even rush, just calmly walked in like they owned the place. And technically, for about 3 hours, they thought they did. I called the estate lawyer. She picked up on the first ring like she'd been expecting the call. I know why you're calling, she said, calm as ever. You saw the transfer? I did. And I also saw the notarized authorization they slipped into the estate binder. But here's the thing, your father had a clause in his will. A very quiet, easily missed one. I blinked. What kind of clause? She opened her drawer and read it aloud. In the event that my estate is tampered with, manipulated, or illegally accessed by any third party claiming familial rights, I authorize full criminal and civil action against said parties and forfeit any discretionary trust to them permanently. Trust. That's when I realized there was more money. Dad had set up a discretionary trust, an extra $500,000 set aside for whoever handled the estate with integrity. It was hidden in a secondary document that could only be accessed after probate. If I had handed over anything to David or Mom, I wouldn't have qualified. By stealing from me, they didn't just rob me. They disqualified themselves, and they had no idea. So what did I do next? I waited. I didn't call them. I didn't text. I didn't even confront them. Instead, I made an appointment at the bank, had all estate linked accounts locked, transferred the funds into a separate trustee-monitored fund with biometric access only. I filed a full fraud report with the financial institution, and then I waited some more. At 7:15 p.m., David called me. I picked up and put him on speaker. Hey, there's been a mistake, he started, like this was some mix-up at a drive-thru window. Oh, yeah, the bank called. Something about irregular activity. I let the silence do the talking. Then he snapped. Look, man, I just needed a little help. It's not like I took all of it. You've got plenty. You broke into my house with Mom. That wasn't breaking in. She had a key. You forged my signature. You emptied a joint account that never legally existed. You filed a notarized lie. He paused, and then came the real voice. Not the fake friendly David. The real one, cold, defensive. You think you're better than everyone now because Dad threw you a bone? You're alone. Always have been. That money won't change that. Click. 2 hours later, Rachel showed up at my door. Yes, Rachel, my brother's longtime girlfriend, the mother of his child, the woman he'd been cheating on since 2020. How do you even know where I live? I asked. She lifted her phone. Find my iPhone. I still have David's account sync. Dumb idiot never changed it. I let her in, not because I trusted her, but because I wanted to know what she knew. And what she told me changed everything. Apparently, this wasn't a heat of the moment thing. David and my mom had been planning this for months. Ever since Dad got diagnosed, they figured once he passed, they could guilt trip me out of everything. If guilt didn't work, manipulate the paperwork. Rachel showed me texts from Mom dating back 8 months. Full-blown scheming. He won't fight back. He never does. Once we get control of the account, we'll talk him down. That part made me laugh. Talk me down like I was a mad dog or a business deal. But Rachel wasn't done. She took a deep breath and said, you need to know something else. David told me if the money thing didn't work, he'd push for custody. I blinked. Custody? Of who? Your kid. She nodded. He thinks it'd destroy you. You're close to our son. He hates that. He said if he could make it look like you were unstable, unfit, he'd take him from you out of spite. That's when the room went cold. See, what David didn't know, I had already written that kid into my will. I'd set up a fund for him. I'd been helping cover school costs quietly. Birthday gifts, extracurriculars. Not for David, not for Rachel, for the kid, because he deserved better. And now his own father wanted to use him as a weapon. Rachel left in tears, said she was done, said she'd testify if it came to it. I didn't say goodbye. I just locked the door behind her. That night, I found an envelope in my mailbox. No stamp or return address. Inside, a burned photo of me and my dad. Our fishing trip from '08. Someone had burned out my face with a cigarette, scrawled across the back. It should have been me. The next morning, I walked straight into the police station and dropped the burned photo on the counter. The officer took one look at it and asked, this from a stranger? No, I said. Worse, my brother. That got me a raised eyebrow and a case number. They took the photo, filed it under harassment, and told me to keep records of any other contact. You know what's wild? Up until that point, I still hadn't pressed charges. I wanted to believe this was salvageable. Not the relationship. That was dead years ago, but I wanted to believe I could walk away clean. That changed after I went home and saw the back window of my truck smashed in. Nothing taken, just destroyed. Shards of glass everywhere. And someone left a sticky note on the seat that read, give him what's his. I called my lawyer, Susan. I want to go nuclear, I told her. She didn't even flinch. Good. I've already filed a civil claim for fraud, forgery, and estate tampering. We'll add property damage and harassment. She also helped me file a restraining order against David and my mother. She didn't suggest it, she insisted. And that's when David snapped, because that same night he showed up at Rachel's place, drunk, screaming outside her apartment building, yelling my name, telling her I poisoned her, that I'd brainwashed her to turn against him, that I'd taken his family. Neighbors called the cops. He was arrested on the spot for disturbing the peace. Rachel got a temporary order of protection. And just like that, the golden boy had his first mugshot. Now here's where things got twisted. 3 days later, my mom came to my house. She stood at my front door holding a Bible. No, not making that up. I came to make peace, she said, eyes watery like she was auditioning for a Hallmark movie. I didn't open the door. Your father would want us to be together, she whispered. Funny, she was the one who told me I was a waste of space at his funeral. I spoke through the door. Did you write that note in my truck? No, of course not. What about the burned photo? Her silence told me everything. Then she tried the emotional Hail Mary. David's in a dark place. You've backed him into a corner. He could hurt himself. I said if he's in a dark place, it's one he built brick by brick. And then get this, she started sobbing, and as she walked away, she said, he should have been the one to inherit. You were never supposed to be the one. Later that night, Rachel called me. You're not gonna believe what I found in David's storage unit, she said. She had moved out, went back to her sister's place, and decided to clear out all of David's junk. Opened the unit, and inside, a binder full of forged documents. Letters from me, faked emails, screenshots of bank accounts edited to show I was embezzling from our parents. There was even a draft letter to Child Protective Services claiming I was mentally unstable and a danger to any child. His plan had gone way beyond money. He wasn't just trying to rob me. He was building a case to destroy me. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the executor of the estate called. He'd received a letter, sent anonymously, but postmarked in our mom's city. custody. Inside was a petition to void the will. The grounds? Testamentary incapacity. Claiming Dad had been coerced in his final months, that he didn't know what he was signing. They wanted to nullify the will. This was war now. I met with Susan the next morning. She smiled and said, let them try. Turns out Dad's will had a video recording of him signing it, mentally sharp, crystal clear, explaining exactly why he left everything to me. I love both of my sons, he said in the video, but only one of them has ever stood on his own. This is my last shot at setting things right. I played the clip 3 times when I got home. Not because I needed the proof, but because for the first time in my life, I finally heard my dad say something that sounded like respect. I thought things had settled. David was gone. The court had shut him down. Rachel had handed me the truth and full custody was in motion. The house was quiet again. For 2 days, it felt like the storm had passed. I even caught myself smiling in the mirror. Dumb move. Should have known better. Because peace in my life is a warning sign. And it didn't last 72 hours. Phone buzz. Unknown number. I never answer those, but something made me swipe. He's back. Rachel's voice. Frantic. What? Who? David. He's in the lobby of my building. He just stood there for 10 minutes, staring at the intercom. Didn't even press a button. Then he left. I grabbed my keys without a word. She sent me the security camera footage. There he was. Hoodie. Sunglasses. Hands in his pockets, rocking slightly. Looking like a man deciding if he was about to commit something he couldn't undo. We called the cops. Again. They took a report. Again. Not enough to arrest. No contact order meant nothing unless he made contact. Hovering didn't count. Doorbell rang. I looked at the camera. No one there. Opened the door. Empty porch. Except a single flash drive taped to the door frame. Plugged it in. One video file. It was my backyard. Recorded from somewhere inside the fence. Night vision. Hours of it. Silent. At 3:17 a.m. a figure appeared on the edge of the screen. David. He walked right up to my kitchen window. Looked through. Smiled. Then turned and walked away. I stared at that frame for an hour. Rachel called me again. You need to see this. She forwarded an email from David's new email account. Subject. Truth about your golden hero. It was a Google Drive folder. Screenshots, photos, spliced audio, all doctored. He'd been fabricating a story where I was some manipulative stalker who had forced Rachel to sign over custody. He was trying to poison the well before he ever went to court. Inside the folder was a fake therapist's report. Looked real. Stated I was obsessive with delusions of persecution. Rachel tracked the name. It was a real psychologist. But the signature? Forged. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to erase me. A knock on the door. Certified letter. David had filed for emergency custody. Claimed I was hiding a child that wasn't mine. Except this time, he did something smarter. He got Mom to sign a sworn affidavit. She wrote that Rachel had always told her the child was David's and that I had schemed to break them apart. That hit harder than I thought. She knew the truth. Rachel told her. She lied under oath. And just like that, court was back. At court, David showed up clean-shaven, sued, like a twisted version of me. His lawyer argued parental alienation. Said I manipulated Rachel. Said my financial power let me control her. Then he played audio. A voicemail of me saying, I'll make sure he never sees the kid again. I remember that call. I said it in anger. After the fire, but out of context, it sounded monstrous. My lawyer played the video of David stalking, the emails, the fake report. She ripped apart the affidavit, highlighting my mother's known bias, called her a non-credible third party. The judge didn't decide that day. He said he needed to review. 3 days, minimum. Rachel didn't answer her phone. Texted, you okay? No response. I drove to her apartment. Door was open, unlocked, lights off, living room trashed, like someone went through it fast. No sign of Rachel. Then I heard it, a soft whimper. I found her in the bathroom, curled in the tub, shaking. Phone gone. Purse dumped out. Lip split. She looked up at me and whispered, he was here. I took her to the hospital. Police finally took it seriously. David had crossed the line. Full-blown assault. Witness. Evidence. They issued a warrant. He vanished again, but not before leaving one more surprise. When I got home, my front door was wide open. Inside, everything was untouched, except for the fridge. Inside, taped to a single can of soda, was a note. You think this is over? I haven't even started. And on the can, in permanent marker, Dad's favorite. I hadn't slept a second. Just sat in my kitchen with every light off, watching the condensation drip off the side of a soda can that had Dad's favorite written across it in black marker. It was chilling, not the message, but the calm way it was left. As if David wanted me to know I was already outmatched. As if this was a chess game and he was 3 moves ahead. Rachel was still at the hospital after the assault. Her sister stayed overnight with her. Police were involved now, officially, but they had nothing. No recent sightings, no digital trace. Just a ghost in a hoodie who knew exactly how to stay hidden. Then, at 6:40 a.m., a car pulled into my driveway. I grabbed the bat. Turned out it was my uncle. He looked like he hadn't slept either. He handed me a manila envelope with shaky hands and said, you need to see this. Inside were printed screenshots, group texts between my mother and David, dated weeks before my dad passed. He'll cave if we push him. We get the house. He gets to be alone. Like always. If he tries to fight, we shut him down. Don't worry, I'll handle the will. I felt a punch in the chest. They weren't just cruel. They were strategic, organized, calculating. My uncle looked ashamed. He sent them to me, drunk, 2 nights ago. Said I could be part of the new family circle. Thought I'd go along with it. He handed me another page, a forged deathbed letter from my dad, claiming he changed his mind and wanted David to inherit everything. It had a fake signature. Beneath it, Mom's notarized statement, swearing it was real. I couldn't even react. My laughter was dry bitter. They're manufacturing a legacy. My uncle nodded. They're not done. Not even close. Day 8. For 22 p.m., I got a call from Mark, an old friend who manages a storage facility. You said you're looking for David, right? I think I found his hideout. Turns out David rented a unit under a fake name, paid in cash, but Mark had seen the flyers and recognized his face. I called the police. We all met there within the hour. They cut the lock, pulled the door open. What we saw stopped everyone cold. Walls covered in printed photos of me, Rachel, and the kid. Maps, court papers, copies of my emails, red thread connecting thumbtacks like some crime thriller conspiracy board. In the corner a mannequin dressed in my hoodie, my jeans, my shoes. It had a name tag. Dad. I walked out of the unit and threw up behind the dumpster. The police found detailed floor plans of my house, hand-drawn notes of my routine, labeled windows, times of day, routes to the school. He wasn't stalking anymore. He was hunting. Day 9, 3:33 a.m. My phone buzzed. Voicemail from a blocked number. This isn't court drama anymore. You stole my son. You stole my father. You stole my life. So I'm taking it back. Ask Rachel what she told me on New Year's Eve 2020. She's not as innocent as she looked. I called her immediately. She answered groggy. I asked what happened that night. Silence. Then she said, that's the night I told him I wasn't sure who the father was. I felt my throat tighten. You said the test proved it was mine. It did, but he never believed it. He told me if I didn't admit the truth, he'd bury both of us. That's when I left. That one moment, that seed of doubt had poisoned everything. David didn't just feel replaced. He believed I had stolen his identity. He didn't want justice. He wanted to become me. Day 10, 6:01 p.m. Court day. David didn't show up again, but his new lawyer did. Claimed David was being harassed and feared for his life. Said the will had been manipulated. My lawyer, Susan, handed over everything. The conspiracy texts, the forged letter, the storage unit report, and David's unhinged voicemail. Judge read through it, then looked up and said, a bench warrant is being issued. I'll be forwarding this to the DA. David was now officially a fugitive. As we left, Rachel gripped my arm and whispered, that car. A black SUV sat across the street. Tinted windows. Engine running. We stared. The engine revved. It pulled away slowly. David wasn't hiding. He was toying with us. Day 11, 7:57 a.m. A package showed up at my doorstep. No name. No return address. Inside, my copy of the custody agreement. Burned. Curled edges. Still smelling like smoke. Taped to the front. A photo of me asleep in bed, taken through my window. That same day, Rachel called crying. Her sister's apartment had been broken into. Nothing stolen, except the kid's room was torn apart. On the bed, a photo of my father, torn in half, my face missing. That night, my lawyer called me personally. We need to escalate security. New locks, full surveillance. This isn't just a family dispute anymore. You're being hunted. And she was right. David wasn't fighting for anything anymore. He was unraveling. I kept replaying everything, the storage unit, the voice messages, the mannequin dressed in my clothes, the photo of me sleeping. He'd been in my backyard. He'd stood by my bed, and still no one could find him. The cameras I'd installed blinked in every room. I checked them obsessively, even though I knew it wouldn't help. The house was locked up like Fort Knox, but I didn't feel safe. At 2:31 a.m. motion sensor alert, garage. I didn't wait. Grabbed the bat, rushed downstairs, heart pounding so loud it felt like thunder in my ears. But when I opened the door to the garage, it was empty. Almost. In the center of the room was a folded piece of paper on the floor. Come alone or I release the files. You know where. He wanted to meet. He left it like it was some movie standoff. But this wasn't a movie. This was my life, burning in real time. The location? It wasn't written, but I knew. It was the one place he'd always beaten me at as kids. The park. Our childhood park. The one where I'd scraped my knees while he won races. The one where Dad always clapped louder for him. I didn't call the police. I didn't tell Rachel. I grabbed my coat and keys, and I left. Day 12, 3:18 a.m. He was already there, standing on the basketball court like he belonged there. Same hoodie, same wild eyes, but thinner, paler, like the obsession had eaten half of him. You came, he said, smirking. You broke into my house, I replied. You broke my life. He stepped closer. Dad always said you were the steady one, but you were just the background. I was the one with potential. I had the family, the kids, the future, and he gave it all to you. I didn't respond. He pulled out a flash drive, held it up. Everything. All my proof. You're not who you say you are. Rachel was mine. The kid is mine. You just stole them while I was down. I said nothing. He tossed the flash drive on the ground between us. Take it or fight for it. Doesn't matter. Soon everyone will know. And then he pulled something from his pocket. I took a step back. It wasn't a weapon. It was a recorder. He hit play. Rachel's voice. I don't know if it's his. He edited it, twisted it. You're insane, I whispered. No, he said calmly. I'm awake. Day 12, 3:37 a.m. He lunged at me. Didn't punch. Didn't swing. Just tackled. We hit the ground. Fought like animals. No words. Just years of resentment finally exploding. I got the upper hand. Pinned him. Looked him in the eyes. And for a second, I saw it. Fear. He wasn't just angry. He was broken. He wasn't trying to win anymore. He was trying to drag me down with him. Police lights flashed in the distance. Rachel had called them after waking and finding me gone. They pulled me off him. Arrested him on the spot. Multiple counts. Stalking, breaking and entering, assault, identity theft, child endangerment. He didn't speak, didn't resist, just stared at me as they put him in the car. Day 13. 8:05 a.m. The cops searched his car, found printed photos, another burner phone, GPS logs showing my house, Rachel's apartment, my son's school. But the worst thing? A drafted email to CPS, claiming I'd been physically violent, said he'd release it if things didn't go his way. He really was prepared to burn everything. Day 14. 6 p.m. The trial moved fast. The evidence was overwhelming. He pled out to avoid jail time for Rachel's assault. Took a deal that included court-mandated psychiatric care and a 10-year restraining order from all of us. Mom? She never came to court, but she sent a letter. Didn't apologize. Didn't admit guilt. Just one line. You always wanted to be the strong one. Now you have to be. She cut me off completely after that.